Today is August 1st, 2021, and we are standing in the back of our yard in Knoxville, Tennessee on Grove Drive. It's a beautiful day. It's a Sunday. We have been away for a week on a camping trip, and when we came back, we were so surprised to see how much everything has grown. And it's just amazing compared. Down here, you can see that we have the melons. We have both a cantaloupe and we have a pumpkin, and both of those are growing, and they're actually growing through, which is so weird, but they're actually growing through these tables and plants. And they have tendrils that have attached to them that I have to literally break off, because if I don't, I'm never going to be able to harvest them. So I'm going to take those and stick them right up in here and tell them to grow, maybe even more here. Tell them to grow here. Anyway, it's absolutely a beautiful day, and we thought this would be a good day to perhaps go on a tour of the garden. So here we go. These are Mike's Kugel cultures. They have been just an amazing success, and you can see that we have planted Jess and Maya at Roots, and I can't think of what the other is, but they said be sure and plant sunflowers on the inside of your arches because it'll attract the bees, and boy has it ever. So we have tons of sunflowers, tons of vines, and tons of plants coming on. Careful, there's a stack of stuff right there. All right, over here. This is sort of our small impromptu garden. It's right at the back of the deck. And one of these plants, and don't ask me which one, but one of these plants is a cantaloupe, and the other plant is a pumpkin plant. But they're both going crazy. And look at my beautiful zinnias. Aren't those gorgeous? Just beautiful, beautiful colors. These were actually grown from a Mother's Day gift. Here's the remnants of one right there. That's part of a Mother's Day gift from Addie and Cohen, where they actually made a compost kind of like pancake and then sprinkled it full of seeds. We just put it out here in our backyard and just let it sit, and these have all grown up. You can see that our melons are going berserk. They are just all over the place, and in a few weeks we should have melons. I'm probably going to hang them from nylons or something to support them if they're going to be oh, actually I've got a melon right here, Mike. There's a melon right there against the very back trellis. Actually, it looks like it's snapped even. I might go grab that one. Here. Let me have your arm. Yeah, it looked like it got too heavy and snapped. I hadn't noticed that yet. Not sure what kind of a melon that was, but definitely something was already started there. And we have a lot more. We have some, oh look, here's another melon. Right here. Hadn't seen that at all.
I can see it. I can see it from this side now.
Okay. I'm going to pick these cherry tomatoes. Haven't had a lot of tomatoes so far. It's a little bit early here. It's a little bit too warm, I think. But you can see our cherry tomatoes are kind of being dwarfed. But yeah, that's interesting that we have a melon. We probably have more in here. I just don't know how. I don't know if these are pumpkin. My guess is that this is a pumpkin. Thank you. So I have some couple of tomatoes. not very many. And that melon is really just broken. But I'll have to come out and put a sling on a little hammock on that other melon, because that's really pretty good sized already, whatever that is. Okay, so if we come,
Talk to the camera.
so if we come over here, you can see we walk around the hugel culture. This end here is the end that has had the most problems. There's a nest of yellow jackets that has crawled in on one side. We've sprayed it and it looks like it's killed them. The other thing is, on a hugel culture, you fill it about halfway full of old logs. Well, we had some Bartlett pear trees that lost limbs that we cut up and we saved them for firewood, and we threw them in this hugel culture. I don't think any of them were thrown in the other hugel culture, but we are seeing all kinds of strange plants coming up and they've gone crazy. So we're probably going to have to empty that. These are the invasive plants that are coming up. And again, I don't know what these are exactly, but you can see the roots are really long. I think some of the logs are sprouting and they're growing up there. And I just threw them over there, but we've got lots of those. And here's another one you can see. Look how big the roots are. So whatever it is, it's trying to take over my hugel culture here. And I'm going to have to come out. This is all growth that's happened in the last, because I had it all picked out before we left. Anyway, we have some rosemary growing here. We have actually some lettuce that is growing back here. Ton of lettuce. We have basil. Our basil is doing really, really well. In fact, I'm going to pinch off this piece of basil. These are carrots. Carrots are doing well. And our marigolds help with pollinators. And these, of course, are more zinnias, again, for the pollinators. This whole plant right here is a cucumber plant that I started from seed, which is, to me, that's always a miracle. I can hardly believe that. But when you look at this cucumber, we've gotten enough that we've pickled several jars already. And here's another one that's ready here. There's another pickling cucumber, so we'll add that to the stack. I've got about a dozen of them in the house, half a dozen anyway. Oh, here's another one. I'm going to let that one have another day or two, and I'm sure as I look through here I'll find a bunch more. The basil is just gone nuts. I think I'll pick off a piece of basil. And I might need my snippers for that. But that's just a nice little bunch for today. And the fresh basil smells so good. One of the things I didn't show that I probably should is on the other side of the melon patch. Let's take a walk over here. What's so strange about Tennessee is that you plant something and leave it and it just goes berserk and grows. These right here, this is all flowering oregano. So we have tons of oregano. It smells so great. And then these right here, this whole big bush right here is sage, and it smells wonderful. It can just air dry when you hang it up. We have a ton of sage and a ton of oregano back in this corner. So we have lots and lots of stuff. Over here we have tomatoes, and these tomatoes are looking pretty good and pretty big. They're not turning red yet, but we have lots of tomatoes this year, and they really seem to be doing very, very, very well. So we're anxious to see how those go. This is our zucchini plant. Every year we've been here, we've had tons and tons of zucchini, more than we could really eat. And this year, every zucchini plant, whether it was the regular green zucchini or the crookneck zucchini, every one of them has died, and I don't know why. Some were in pots, some not. And again, here's our sunflowers. They're just going crazy. And this is a vine coming off of the arch over there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this arch. You can see I have zinnias and sunflowers planted on the ends of both. What's interesting is it's just absolutely beautiful in there. There's tons of pollinators in there. This is an Armenian artichoke. I'd never seen them before. No, I'm sorry, Armenian cucumber. Armenian cucumbers. I'd never seen them before. I planted them from seeds. And again, I can't believe you can put a seed in the ground and 2.5 months later you have this. But Armenian cucumber, we plant them in seed and they grow. The Armenian cucumber are actually in the melon family, but because of their shape and their texture, they look and taste very much like a cucumber. You use them like you would a cucumber. If you let them get too big, I understand the seeds start to get too big, kind of like you would get in a cantaloupe or a other melon, and you have to scoop them out and just eat the flesh, and the outside of the skin can get very hard. But if you pick them when the diameter is about 2 inches, it's not too bad. Okay, here's a baby. That one's just starting. This is a fun place. I wish I had grandchildren to play in here. It's kind of fun. Here's another baby. Here's another baby. Here's another baby. They are going crazy. Now, we already have, I've given some to my neighbors, and we've already eaten 2, and I have 1 in the fridge, but I'm going to go ahead and pick this one because you can see it's getting to be pretty big, and I don't want it to get seedy and bigger, so I'm just going to cut it right there, and you can see how big it is. Dad had one that we took with us camping that we picked just before we left. I'm going to put that in my little basket full of goodies. And over on this side I have another one that's ready to go. I think I'll give that one an extra day. And I am sure that if I stop and really look, I haven't looked since we've been back, but I'm sure there's lots of other cucumbers in here. And it makes a really nice shady spot. Now, this place side over here, these are also cucumbers, Armenian cucumbers. However, I didn't plant these until a month ago because I had peas planted along here. And we got a ton of sweet peas. Move this too. We had an absolute ton of sweet peas. And so we harvested them, and peas don't do well in the heat. So as soon as the heat came up, again, we just pulled them out, kept some for seed, let them dry on the vine, and then we replanted. Over on this side, we also have some Armenian cucumbers, and you can see that the ones on the other side even are kind of going crazy. You have more tomatoes back in here. I'm sure there's more. Here's a pickle over here. They all kind of just coexist and go together. So That's how that's going. This has been, again, every place you look though, you're going to see more of this strange little plant, whatever it is. And I just pick them. I don't know what these are. But that's pretty much this one. More zinnias. More zinnias over here. They're just beautiful flowers. Okay, over here, all of these marigolds, and you can see they're huge bushes, but again, they attract pollinators. But these marigolds I planted from seed. Again, I just stuck seeds in the ground and they took off. In addition to that, I have all this dill. When I canned my first batch of pickles, I actually used my own dill. And there's another dill plant there. If I come around to this side, I have two kinds of parsley. There's a parsley and a parsley, and then I have a thyme bush down back behind there. This is a pepper plant I planted recently. It seems to be doing okay. But this is again a crookneck squash plant I planted just before we went camping. And again, it's died, which I don't know why. And again, you can see I have huge sunflowers. Both of this pot and a square pot were filled with zucchini plants. They should have done very well. It's all brand new soil. It should have done fine. I think it got too much water from the system that we put in, but they just died. And again, I have some sunflowers going there. This is a real interesting plant. Again, I saw Jess and Maya were growing it at Roots and Refuge. They're a YouTube channel that has a homestead, but I thought it was really interesting because they were saying how these are Chinese red long beans. And once again, I started them by just putting seeds in the bottom. I do have a few marigolds, but I think the long beans have gotten so big that they've kind of overshadowed the marigolds and not getting as much sun as they need. But this is so far beyond our expectations. These, if you cook them, you can steam them or cook them with a little butter or a little bacon and onion. Tastes just like regular green beans. Just chop them up however long you want. My son Joe spent time in China. He sent me a couple of recipes. I'm going to check those out later today and see what we can do. But they're just beautiful, and you can see they have filled in this entire arch right here. Now when I say they're full in, look how long these are. And they're just everywhere. One of the things I have to do today is I really need to come and start harvesting them. And they're supposed to continue to produce like this. This one's all wrapped around even. They're going to continue to produce like this all summer long. And you can can them just like you can beans also. I'm flash freezing some of them. And I probably could dehydrate them too, but it's just amazing. This wasn't here. We had picked all the beans and Mike held them on the porch just before we left for our trip. So that's kind of amazing. Anyway, and this over here, again, you can see we have too much water. Again, the plants, it's actually killing my plants. Both that one and this one, we got to turn this water system off. That's not good.
I don't think there's a...
Huh?
I don't think there's a drain hole at the bottom of that.
Okay. Anyway, and then this here is mint. If you plant mint, they're nice in like 7-Up drinks. But if you plant mint, you be sure you do it in a pot, because otherwise they'll take over your garden. And this plant right here is chocolate mint. And if you rub it between your fingers, it smells just like chocolate. so that's good. This plant, again, is really struggling, and I think it's because it's overwatered again. But this is a chamomile plant, and you pick the flowers and dehydrate them or let them dry, and that makes chamomile tea. And again, you can see these long beans are just everywhere. Okay. And then if we go this way, we have developed a real love for banana peppers. So this is banana peppers. They're really easy to make, what are they calling? Pepperoncinis?
Peppercini.
And Mike really loves them. When we were gone, we talked to our neighbor and told her to come pick all she wanted, and she did, which we're glad she did. But she's got a lot of that. And this plant over here is, again, a pepper plant. And I think she picked all the peppers on that. And I think that's all we have, which is plenty. So for a small space garden, we're getting tons and tons of food. Getting lots of food on a small space garden. Anyway, so that's our garden. The neat thing about living in Tennessee here is you stick a seed in the ground and forget about it, and unless you overwater it to kill it, if you just leave it alone, it's fine. It'll just produce like crazy. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so let's see what we got in our little bag. We have a nice little spray of sage, a nice little piece of basil. We have one pickling cucumber. We have one peppercini. We have lots of lettuce. I only pulled one piece, but we have some. It's getting too hot for lettuce. I only picked one Armenian cucumber. That's how big that is. This is a half sheet pan. And then I have about a third of the Chinese long beans that are on my plant. More Chinese long beans. More Chinese long beans. And 3 little teeny tiny cherry tomatoes. Haven't had tomatoes. And 1 sad little, I think it's a pumpkin, or maybe it's a melon that broke off. And that's what we have today. That's quite a haul.